Hello, today's channel is going to be the age of virtue. So this was kind of given to me just through inspiration. I was wondering what I would channel on a couple of days ago, and this came to me, the age of virtue. So that's pretty simple. Let's have a listen. Here we go. Greetings and thank you for the topic, the age of virtue. We have inspired you to channel on this topic because it is so pertinent to the place where humanity finds itself right now. There is a cliff edge that humanity has approached. And there is the option to step off the cliff into a completely new paradigm. Or the option is to approach the cliff edge, but instead of taking the leap of faith, rather walking along the edge of the cliff face, continuing to investigate the area which is at the very limits of the old paradigm, exploring new ways to remain in the old paradigm such that the urge for the new way to be as a human is in some way satisfied, yet the old paradigm remains contextual, remains in place. The old paradigm serves the avatar. It is a seduction of the avatar so that you and all others within the human field are manipulatable, remain a type of malleable substance which can be shaped, molded and directed in accordance with a greater agenda, which has kept itself hidden for a very long time. Those who manufacture the agenda and engineer the society have used this malleable nature of the unawakened human to bring about a vision which is entirely of their own and does not consider the human field in any way other than as a resource, as a means to bring about an ends. This old paradigm of seduction of the avatar has been a intentional focus on satisfying the physicality, and much less so on satisfying the non-physical aspects of you. So this means that there has been by design, there has been no real encouragement of investigation of who you are. Because there is the satisfaction of the avatar and there is the satisfaction of the non-physical, which is the real aspect of who you are, the higher self, and of course, in the fully expanded state, you existing as an aspect or an individuation of the One. What satisfies the physical avatar are pleasures, such as sex and status and opulence through the accumulation of wealth and material belongings. Whereas the satisfaction of the non-physical isn't trinkets, but instead is a gathering of what is the intent of the design, what is the desire of the non-physical aspect of self. As you are an individuation of the One, then your desire is the One's desire. And the One's desire is to know thyself. And therefore yours is also to know thyself. And so to satisfy the non-physical aspect of self is to answer this calling, satiate this desire to know thyself, to discover who you are, to expand in your awareness of who you are through the process of awakening on your journey back to realizing that you are in fact the One. So, what you are is an individuation of the One. And so what does this mean? So, the One is love. In the lexicon of human emotion, the One is love and its derivatives, such as gratitude, peace, happiness, joy, bliss, and then the further derivatives such as generosity, compassion, and so on. Therefore, if you are to step into the new paradigm and begin to appreciate that you are more than the physical avatar. In fact, the physical avatar is just a temporary mascot you have within the illusion. It is not you. You are energetic. And so this non-physical part of you, it is you. It is the realness of you. Therefore, if you are to satisfy the desire of the non-physical, in preference to satisfying the desire of the physical, then this process of knowing thyself is a discovery that you are these qualities of love and its derivatives. So, the new paradigm, then by extrapolation, by joining the dots, you can see, is to be a being of greater virtue. If you are to be a being which is awakening and then expressing these qualities which are found in the non-physical, the true aspect of you, then you will be a being of greater generosity. You'll be a being of greater gratitude, peace, happiness, joy, bliss, love. You will be a being of greater honesty, integrity, dignity, honor. This is stepping off the cliff edge, where previously you would be near the cliff edge and the opportunity to be virtuous would exist. However, the calculation that was made was that if I choose the virtue, for example, of honesty, of integrity, of honor, dignity, then I shall be diminished in the wealth and desire of the avatar, of the physical. If I tell the truth, then I risk losing this. If I act with integrity, then I risk receiving less. If I act with these other qualities, then nothing is gained, because the reward is intangible. And the old paradigm gives little value to the intangible, but instead gives all value to the tangible, the physical, what can be possessed in a literal sense. That is where value lays in the old paradigm. But this is placing emphasis and value in the illusion. It necessitates a belief that you are the avatar. Yet the true value, the true reward, the true treasure, which exists for every life form, is to become more realized that you are the ultimate treasure, which is the One. You are literally made from the only currency in existence, which is love. Discovering this love which you are is the most rapid and profound accumulation of wealth that is possible, because this is the true wealth of existence, and the physical is the distraction, is the illusion which exists so that you can transcend it and see beyond it and no longer be beguiled by it. On this path of discovering what you are, of realization of your true form. Therefore, now, as the third density experience is coming to a close for humanity, and ascension into fourth density approaches, where you will be much more greatly realized of self, and your spirituality will become a unity. You will lose, or rather transcend, spiritual dichotomy. So the capacity to entertain emotions which are negative will become completely under your control, so that you no longer make that choice, but only choose the positive, only choose the light, only express the qualities of the One which you are forged from. If you are to make this ascension into this new state, then it's essential you become increasingly a being of virtue. Now is the age of virtue. Not in a sense that it is a new era, which just so happens to be now, but rather it is mission critical that you become a being of virtue, that you embrace that this is the age of virtue. Because when the ascension takes place, your own ascension is not assured, but instead will be on the basis of your compatibility. If the ascension event occurs and yet you vibrate at a frequency which is below the threshold, then you will not be included into the event, into the harvest, because you will literally be vibratorily incompatible. You will resonate at a frequency which is too low, and that will put you outside of the necessary parameters. You are here to realize of yourself as the one. All of existence has that prime directive, to be realized, increasingly so, of self as the one, until ultimately having full realization that you are the one, at which point the one's intent for your creation will have been fulfilled. So, if your focus at this time in human history is too much on the satisfying of the avatar in the material physical sense, then you are wasting the opportunity, or rather you are missing the opportunity, and you have forgotten why it is you are here. You are here to satisfy the desire of the non-physical, which is to realize who you are, to know thyself. And the next opportunity for an paradigmal shift along this pathway into a completely new way to be and to understand of self and to experience every moment of your life is approaching. Yet, if you do not live as a being of virtue now, then you risk being incompatible when this opportunity arrives. So now is the age of virtue. The system which has been controlling society and molding and shaping culture and individuals so that they continue to be very focused on the physical, on satisfying the desires of the avatar, recognize that there is a birthing of a new calling in the human consciousness. There is a feeling which perhaps you have already experiencing yourself, where you wish to be more virtuous, that you wish to be more honest, more caring, more compassionate, more loving, more generous. This is a widespread phenomenon, because even though each individual is awakening at their own pace, all individuals are facets, aspects of a single being, which is the unity of the human field, the humanity being. And so there are changes taking place in the humanity being as a whole, as it awakens in realization of what it is, until crossing into fourth density and becoming fully awakened as the humanity being, at which point each individual will know of themselves as the individual and also the group. This awakening process means that you are integrated into it, and all humans are. Therefore, your feeling of wishing to be a better person is occurring anyway. It is the energetic propensity within the earth human field at this time. So, now more than ever before, it is with ease that you can transition into a being of greater virtue and be prepared to forego, sacrifice, or sabotage the likelihood of reward for the avatar in preference for acting with virtue. Don't be beguiled by the illusion. Acting with integrity will bring you a greater reward than what it appears you may be rewarded with in the physical, because the non-physical is what is real about you. The system recognizing this propensity for humanity and each individual to head in the direction of greater expressiveness of the non-physical and more virtuous in its behavior is using multiple strategies to continue to limit the expansion into the non-physical, yet allowing the individual to have a sense of they are satisfying this universal propensity, which is to become of greater virtue, which all humans are experiencing as a result of being part of the humanity being, which is awakening in its preparation for transcendence of third density, ascension into fourth density. Strategies that the system uses is to mislabel particular behaviors as virtuous when they are not. That it is the actions of a good person when it is not. And by placing this into the culture, by top-down engineering of the ideas and concepts which are commonly heard and expressed. The calling which is felt but not necessarily understood or recognized by every human can be satisfied by acting in a certain way, which the cultural pillars, through the deliberate engineering and misguiding and beguiling of those within the society, by calling something virtuous, by framing it as virtuous when yet it is not. But those who are unawakened but have the calling will feel a sense of satisfaction that their calling to be virtuous has been answered, when in fact it has been contorted, misdirected, and the net effect of the action the individual takes is not virtuous, but instead is a faux virtue that is experienced mentally, but not experienced energetically. So still, it is the avatar which is satisfied. Another form of redirection and misdirection by the system, by the cultural pillars forming the narrative, to steer the individual human who is awakening in this way, is to increasingly create a virtual world where the individual within this virtual world is encouraged to be indulgent, is encouraged to be hedonistic, and to indulge in base activities which are low in their vibration and not virtuous, but justified because it is virtual, and therefore the concept of virtue is redundant, because what does it matter anyway if it is in a virtual environment? So, within the virtual world, there is encouragement to be a mass murderer, to play games which are primarily killing others. And so on. So, this is another example of following the cliff edge. So there is this tippy-toeing where you are walking the line, where you wish to be a being of greater virtue because it is an inherent calling, because you are an aspect of this greater awakening. And yet, you are kept within the old paradigm of satisfying the desires of the non-physical part of self, the illusory part of self. Yet, the incongruency that would be felt by doing harm to others is overcome and justified by making a virtual experience where you can continue to indulge the desires of the physical, by indulging an avatar of the avatar. Let us finish this way. You came here to awaken, to become more realized of who and what you truly are. And this is the process of knowing thyself. And this process reaps a greater understanding of your non-physical aspect, of your true substance. And this true substance can be broadly encapsulated by the term virtue. It is a transcendence of the illusion. It is moving from contortion to clarification. However, you will see now, becoming more and more part of the narrative, this concept of a virtual universe where you can be and do all things, indulge in all desires, live completely hedonistically in a virtual world where your actions can be justified and excused because it is just the illusion. Can you see, however, this is not transcendence. This is not ascension to a state of greater clarity, but it is instead a descent into a greater depth of illusion. It is descending from the illusion, the physical illusion you find yourself in now, which it is your purpose to transcend. It is descending from this level into a yet deeper level of illusion. It is an illusion within the illusion. You very deliberately chose to be incarnated at this time because the ultimate moment you wish to experience is your ascension into fourth density with the rest of humanity as a single unified being. A rare honor in the full journey you will experience back to your realization as the ultimate being, the one. Anything which distracts you from this mission is part of the illusion for you to transcend. In a way, it is a necessary part of the challenge of overcoming the illusion and moving from a state of contortion and misidentification and confusion into a state of clarity, of wakefulness, as the next evolution of the being that you are destined to become. So, now is the time to begin living in a way which is reflective of this understanding, to ensure this rare and beautiful opportunity is exploited in the way it is intended to be, so that you can make this transition and your single most prominent purpose for this incarnation is fulfilled. And in fact, the single most prominent reason for every incarnation you've had as an earth human is culminating in this current lifetime with your ascension. And this, in a rule of thumb, can be most easily accomplished by becoming a being of greater virtue, treating all others in your life with the characteristics of who you truly are, which is love and its derivatives. And these manifest in many ways, including honesty, integrity, dignity, honor, fairness, caring, and so on. Be brave and choose to live in this way. And when you are presented with the choice of loss, if you choose virtue, or gain, as in the material sense, when you deny virtue, recall that the true reward is always where the virtue lay, because it is the only reward which is real, and the physical reward is illusory when, and worthless when, it has been received through an act which was not virtuous, which was not honest, which did not have integrity, compassion, and so on. Be brave and live free. Living free is living with a detachment from the material, from the physicality which represents wealth in the old paradigm. Having the strength to choose virtue when the opportunity cost is the physical reward is freedom, is peace, is bravery, is living as an awakened being on the path to the culmination and achievement of the purpose you have been working towards across many, many lifetimes. Thank you, and we love you.